Imagine opening a website and being greeted by neon backgrounds, spinning 3D text, dozens of blinking GIFs, and a MIDI version of your favorite pop song playing automatically. Welcome to GeoCities, the messiest neighborhood on the early internet. This was the place where anyone, and I mean anyone, could build a website. And it showed. Some pages looked like science projects gone wrong. Others looked like a rave trapped in your browser. And wait until you see the hidden relic we dug up at the end. It's a digital time capsule so absurd, you won't believe people actually made it. Hey explorers, welcome back to OldNetExplorers, your time machine to the weird, wonderful, and downright chaotic corners of internet history. Last time, we visited MySpace in 2005. But today, we're going even further back, to a place that truly defined what the internet felt like in the 90s. GeoCities. If you remember the wild days of DIY web design, or if you just love a good digital throwback, make sure to subscribe to OldNetExplorers, and let's dive into the neon chaos together. Before Facebook, before MySpace, before even Google really took off, there was GeoCities. Launched in 1994, GeoCities gave regular people the power to build their own websites. The idea was simple: neighborhoods. Each neighborhood represented a theme: Hollywood for fan pages, Silicon Valley for techies, Heartland for personal diaries, and so on. But here's the catch: you didn't need to know design, coding, or structure. All you needed was enthusiasm and a willingness to use every single background color and animated GIF possible. The result? Millions of pages that looked like they were designed by hyperactive kids with a free box of crayons. And trust me, we're about to visit some of the most gloriously terrible and amazing examples. But first, let's talk about the absolute king of GeoCities chaos: the animated GIF. Now, if there's one thing that defined GeoCities, it was GIFs. Spinning skulls, flaming logos, bouncing smiley faces. You name it, someone made a GIF for it. And people didn't use just one or two. Oh no. They used dozens. A single page could have GIFs raining from the top, GIFs spinning in the corner, and GIFs crawling across the bottom. It was like Times Square and a Christmas tree had a baby, and then fed it too much sugar. And let's not forget the construction GIFs. Remember those little under-construction signs with tiny pixel workers? Every other GeoCities site had them. Some sites were under construction forever. But the GIF overload wasn't the only thing. Oh no. GeoCities had another weapon of chaos: backgrounds and colors. If you thought neon text on MySpace was bad, GeoCities said, "Hold my dial-up connection." We're talking starry night backgrounds, rainbow gradients, tiled flames, checkerboard patterns, and random photos of clouds, all tiled infinitely until your eyes started begging for mercy. And here's the kicker: people would layer neon green text on top of a bright pink background. Readability? Not a priority. Style? Well, questionable at best. But to 90s internet users, this was freedom. This was self-expression. You could make your website look however you wanted, even if it looked like a rave gone horribly wrong. And just when you thought your eyes adjusted, you'd get hit with another GeoCities classic: autoplay MIDI music. Picture this: you're browsing quietly at night, and suddenly your speakers start blasting an 8-bit MIDI version of the Titanic theme song. That was GeoCities. Every page wanted to greet you with its own soundtrack. Sometimes it was pop, sometimes it was movie scores, and sometimes it was just unrecognizable noise. The worst part? You couldn't pause it. No stop button, no mute button. You just had to endure it. But here's what's funny. MIDI files were tiny, so they loaded fast even on slow connections. That meant you always got the music, whether you wanted it or not. And yet, as chaotic as it was, GeoCities actually pioneered something important. It gave people their first taste of being creators online. But before we get too sentimental, we have to talk about the wildest part of GeoCities: the content itself. GeoCities was the original home of the weird web. There were pages dedicated to UFO sightings, conspiracy theories, alien abductions, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, you name it. Entire neighborhoods were just filled with wild speculation and pixel art diagrams. And then there were the fan pages. Every TV show, every band, every movie from the 90s had at least a dozen dedicated fan sites on GeoCities. From X-Files and Buffy to Backstreet Boys and Spice Girls, it was all there, covered in neon GIFs and Comic Sans text. But my personal favorites are the personal diaries. People would treat GeoCities like their private journal, except it was completely public. They'd post what they had for breakfast, who they had a crush on, and their deepest secrets. Bruh. All wrapped in flashing rainbow text. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's basically what we do now on Instagram and TikTok. GeoCities was just the messy prototype. But wait until you hear about one of GeoCities' most infamous creations, the web rings. Now, back before search engines were any good, how did you actually find sites on GeoCities? Enter the web ring. A web ring was basically a collection of sites linked together. You'd click a button saying "Next Site in the Ring," and suddenly you'd be teleported to another random fan page, diary, or conspiracy hub. It was like speed dating for websites. You never knew what you'd get. 1 minute, a Star Trek fan page. Next minute, a paranormal conspiracy blog. Then a page about someone's pet iguana. It was messy, confusing, and yet weirdly addictive. And as we click through some of these preserved pages today, it feels like stepping into a time machine. But trust me, the biggest surprise is still coming up. Expelled explorers, if you're enjoying this wild ride through the 90s web, make sure to hit that like button and drop a comment about the first website you ever built or visited. And here's a fun one. If you had a GeoCities page back in the day, what ridiculous background or GIF did you use? Tell us in the comments. I promise we'll laugh with you, not at you. For all its chaos, GeoCities was insanely popular. By the late 90s, it was one of the most visited sites on the internet. In 1999, Yahoo bought GeoCities for nearly $4 billion. But after that, it started to fade. Cleaner designs, better platforms, and social media took over. By 2009, Yahoo shut it down completely. But here's the twist. Thousands of people worked to preserve GeoCities before it vanished. That's why we can still explore these bizarre masterpieces today. And that brings us to our final stop, the most over-the-top GeoCities page we've ever found. And here it is, the ultimate GeoCities survivor. This page has it all. Flashing neon backgrounds, an entire army of animated GIFs, scrolling marquee text, a MIDI file of Barbie Girl on repeat, and about 6 different under-construction signs. It's not just a website, it's an art installation of chaos. Looking at it now, it's almost beautiful in how completely ridiculous it is. Honestly, it feels like finding a fossil of internet culture, preserved perfectly, in all its messy glory. So that was GeoCities, a wild, messy, and unforgettable part of the internet's early history. If you loved this digital time travel, make sure to subscribe to OldNetExplorers for more deep dives into the web's forgotten corners. Hit like if you ever built or survived a GeoCities page. And share this with a friend who remembers dial-up tones and loading GIFs. And don't miss our next trip, because we're heading straight into the world of Flash games. Yes, the pixelated adventures, stickman shooters, and ridiculous time wasters that define the 2000s internet. Trust me, it's going to be epic.